Okay, hello. So I know that AI is a new tool. Anything brand new is a little bit, scary is too strong of a word, but starting with something new, especially when it's this big, huge thing like AI that people are using in so many ways, it feels like a really big beast to tame, right? Where do you start? How do you check in with yourself as you learn how to do it? I understand where all that comes from. So I want to start by saying that there's really no wrong way to start with using AI, except for, I would say, if you wanted to use it for, say, legal advice. That would not be a great way to start because the amount of fact checking you would have to do with that specifically would kind of negate the benefit. So I would say skip it for legal stuff. Pretty much anything else, there's no wrong place to start. So for today, start with a really simple, relatable task that we all deal with on a pretty regular basis, which is blog post ideas. Um, for this purpose, let's do a mock client of a local coffee shop. So we're copywriters, we're working with a local coffee shop. Maybe we haven't even reached out to the local coffee shop yet, and we want to get these ideas put together. So we go to them with something clear that we can help them with, right? So it doesn't have to be complicated, especially for when you're getting started. I would say something like, you and I are copywriters working for a local coffee shop. Doesn't super matter if that's accurate or not, because what you're doing is giving ChatGPT context right now. By saying that we're working for a local coffee shop, it's going to put it in the quote unquote mindset of thinking about a writer working for a coffee shop. So they want to start a blog to, let's say, attract more customers. Real simple. Can you give me some blog post ideas? Oops. Another thing I'll call out right now as I make these typos is that ChatGPT is pretty good about understanding what you say, even if you make typos. I just am such a perfectionist that I like to go back and fix them, but don't stress about that if you tend to make typos like me. So that would you to coffee lovers and showcase the uniqueness of a, let's say it's a small independent coffee shop that we're working with. And then we hit send and we see what it's got. And you might be noticing some things here immediately, right? You may be noticing that all of these headlines are very similar in structure. They've got the colon in the middle. Um, they all kind of relate around the same topic, which is the specific way that this coffee shop does things. And then we've got some for science that are kind of getting onto different topics, which is good, but you can see we've got that colon again in every single one of them. But you can see how, especially when you're drawing a blank, when you've got that kind of blank page syndrome and you know where you want to get to, but you kind of need momentum to actually get started, this is a great way to make that happen. The journey of your coffee, customer stories. And if you've taken the AWAI classes or really any copywriting class, you're going to start to see how these things connect. Customer stories, why our regulars love us. That's social proof. That's one of the most compelling things you can give a potential customer when you want them to buy, right? So as you read through the output, you want to be reading through it with a copywriter's lens, right? Because there's always things that maybe aren't so relevant too. Like this one, how to make latte art at home. It's a great idea to give people something they can take into their daily lives. Then again, if you tell someone how to make latte art at home, are they less likely to come give the coffee shop their business every day? Some shops might want to do a topic like this, some might want to avoid it. So always keep your client in mind. And this is just a really basic place to start. The world is really your canvas with this. So I'm going to take that same basic prompt and let's do this. Let's say, let's dive a little bit deeper. And instead of you and I are copywriters, you and I are experienced web copywriters who specialize in writing unique human-centric meaning optimized for human readers as opposed to being full of SEO keywords and technical SEO stuff. Writing unique human-centric content for small independent coffee shops across the US. And now we'll take out this little fragment, break this up. Instead of they, today, our client wants to discuss making their blog as unique and engaging as possible for potential customers in their local area. Now, see what I'm doing here is priming it to the audience, potential customers in their local area, as opposed to, say, out-of-town customers who are here on vacation. You don't have to do this, but just watch and see how different the results are. I'm curious to see myself, because I usually take, a good 10 minutes to put my prompts together if I really need some information. All right, so potential customers in their local area. And then let's just say we already have a large amount of content on the blog that talks about this shop's USP, what sets them apart from other local shops, and content that gives them a solid local SEO authority. So now we're setting it up to say, don't give me the basic stuff. Give me something deeper. Let's really think about this, like two writers would if they were talking to each other. So now we're going to take out this fragment as well and say, with all of this in mind, can you give me some blog post ideas that, oh, that didn't work. It's good. Okay, some blog post ideas that are outside of the norm, not topics that every shop is covering, and yet extremely relevant and engaging for potential customers. Because again, we're not trying to target people who already come here. And then for a little extra flair, let's say the shop is located in Denver, Colorado. I've never actually worked with anyone in Denver, Colorado, but giving it the locational stuff, let's see what it gives us, right? Send. And the other nice thing I like about ChatGPT is that it gives you a lot of context to kind of check against what you're looking for. So before it gives us these answers, it says, given the shop's existing strong local SEO foundation and these other things, it tells you where it comes from. And if you ever read a paragraph that precedes an answer and you think, ooh, wow, it really got it wrong, you can tell it that. It's fine. It won't get offended. It won't cause you to waste time, nothing like that. So let's see what it gave us here. How altitude affects your brew. See, I like that a lot better than some of these other things, like posting a coffee tasting at home. Interesting idea, but not really going to get people in the door, right? But when they know altitude and you can tie that back to the special steps that the shop takes to make sure that the altitude doesn't negatively impact the coffee, then you've got a reason for that person to come in. These things too, neighborhoods that go with different unique vibes. People are so proud of where they come from these days, right down to their local neighborhoods. I live near Seattle and people are very passionate about their neighborhoods and their backgrounds. So something like that is a fantastic idea and not anything like we got from our first attempt with this, right? And all of this is really fantastic. You can see it went a little heavy on the Denver topics. So let's try that again. My mistake. The shop is actually located in New York City, but everything else I originally said is true. And then let's tell what we want to do, of course. Can you uh, give me new blog ideas with the correct location? And again, see how it tells you in here why it's saying what it's saying. And you can fact check that as it goes. And some things you can't really get away from, right? We've still got this colon thing where the headlines all kind of look the same. I honestly find that blog titles like this, for me as a reader, are a dead giveaway that an article is AI generated. I've talked to other people who feel the same way. Um, so there, you always are going to need that human element. But again, if have a local coffee shop or something that you want to work with, you can see that they need more blogs, but you can't really see those ideas clearly in your head. This kind of creates that bridge of getting you from where you are to the information that you want to have. And I think that's really fantastic. There's a lot of great stuff in here. We've got quizzes, and I like that it gives you kind of different, formats of the content, which is great. So I know this is a pretty basic example, and we only took it deeper the one level, but I hope that this kind of shines a light on how easy it is to get started and how much free reign you really have with this. To give you a final summary, kind of step by step of how I would get started, I would say craft a basic prompt first. Start with something like this one that we did up here, and then look through the response. Think about what it is or isn't missing, or any new ideas that you get that you want to kind of work on. You can add those in as well. So after you've evaluated the response, come in here and refine those ideas. Talk to it like it's a person, like it's an assistant. Earlier I was writing a page for a client and I was frustrated because all of the pages for this topic in this industry kind of read the same. And I knew I wanted something unique, but I didn't know what that looked like. I told the AI that and asked it to structure the page for me and give me some ideas on topics to really help us stand out. And it just, another great example. Anyway, so craft a basic prompt, evaluate the response, refine or expand on the ideas generated, and then finally you can ask follow-up questions to dive deeper. Let me show you that real quick too. So let's dive deeper into, come back down here to the second list it generated for us. Let's do this one. I like this. So we'll copy that. Let's dive deeper into that. How would you structure that page? Can you include placeholders for any not text, images or graphics? That would be helpful. Lastly, can you suggest a few potential SEO keywords to tie this blog to? Let's see. That's a bunch of questions. You can do that. You can give it 5 in a row or however many you want, and it'll do all of it. So first it's giving us the outline for this blog. Here's the structure. And not only does it give you the title, it gives you kind of the points to hit as you go. Since I asked it for images, it's got those in there with some ideas. More sections. And I will say, sometimes you'll read these little lines that it comes up with and you'll immediately have an idea for a better one. That's fine. We're not really trying to use this to actually write the copy or the content, keep that in mind. And then we keep going. We go through all the neighborhoods here, really. This is great. Placeholder, graphics, yeah. And then the conclusion, which you'll see brings it all back to the coffee shop. That's nice that it kind of takes care of some of the logistics you have to keep in your head as a writer. It even advises you on the call to action. It's got some keyword ideas, which is great. I always recommend doing your own keyword research, but again, anytime you are just absolutely stumped, don't know where to start, ask AI. It'll do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And then we've got some additional tips. Okay, I know I've been trying to summarize these steps for a minute here, but for the last time, start with a basic prompt. Evaluate the AI's response. refine or expand on the ideas it generated, and then ask follow-up questions to dive deeper into whatever it is you're talking about. We did blog posts today, but you can use this for setting goals for your business, topics for your email newsletter, even for drafting proposals and making sure that you hit on all of the elements that you want when you're worried about forgetting some of them. It's really great stuff. Okay. And we're going to call it there for today. If you have questions or ideas or thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Feel free to make your own little follow-up video and post it. I'd love to see what you do with all of this. And yeah, go get them.